The amazing Digital Circus finale went to theaters 2 weeks before it hit YouTube, and the internet completely lost its mind. Now that the dust has settled and the numbers are in, we can actually look at what went down, what worked, what didn't, and what this whole experiment means for indie animation going forward. The deal was this. The amazing Digital Circus, The Last Act, was a 93-minute feature combining already released episode 8 with the brand new hour-long episode 9 that hit theaters June 4 through June 18. It was a limited Phantoms event release. Then on June 19, 2 weeks later, it dropped free on YouTube and Netflix for everyone else. Kevin, the CEO of Glitch Production, had explained that theaters originally wanted a full month of exclusivity. He pushed hard to get it down to a week or less. In the end, it was 2 weeks, and that was the hard-fought compromise. And even that was apparently unheard of for a project like this. So, did it work? Financially, yes. Massively. The 2-week theatrical run grossed over $35 million worldwide. It opened at number 1 at the domestic box office on its first day with nearly $8 million, and it finished its opening weekend with over $36 million globally. For an independent YouTube-born animated series with no legacy studio backing, those are genuinely staggering numbers. Phantom CEO said the pre-sale demand crashed their website. This thing was an event. Then came the YouTube release. Episode 9 turned out to be titled Remember, which is the Russian translation of the name Pomni, and it pulled in over 60 million views in its first 6 days. The Glitch channel gained 400,000 subscribers on premiere day alone. The series also returned to the Netflix top 10 in the US and peaking at number 6. So across every platform, the finale performed like the phenomenon the show had become. But the TADC 2-week gap was real, and it was brutal. The single biggest problem was a leak. On May 20th, weeks before the theatrical premiere, the entire Brazilian Portuguese dub of The Last Act got leaked online. It spread across Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube almost instantly. By the time the movie hit theaters, major plot points were already circulating. Spoiler thumbnails and titles were up on YouTube within hours of the first screenings. The community tried to self-police. Reddit enforced strict spoiler tags. Dedicated spoiler discussion subs were created. But avoiding spoilers for 2 weeks in that environment was, for a lot of people, impossible. Fans who couldn't make it to a theater felt genuinely burned. They had supported the show for years, bought the merch, told their friends, and now the ending was behind a velvet rope they couldn't reach, while the internet talked about it with doubt. Kevin addressed the community after the theatrical run. He framed the whole experiment as an act of artistic expression. Animation is art, he said. Art is human expression. He acknowledged the difficulty of the 2-week window and the negotiation it took to get it, and he declared the studio was thrilled with the theatrical success. But he didn't apologize for the spoiler situation, and that sat differently with different people. But Gooseworks, the series creator, seemed genuinely worn down by the whole thing. When the leak broke out, she initially shrugged it off, but later posted that the project had become, in her words, way more trouble than it was worth, and that she couldn't keep her heart in it anymore. That's a heavy thing to hear from the person who made the thing you love. It tells you that the pressure of this rollout, the leak, the backlash, the weight of the expectation, it took a real human toll. The moist critical take from before the release held up pretty well. He said 2 weeks was probably too long, that 1 week would have avoided most of the drama, and that the people demanding everything be free forever were being ridiculous. He also didn't let Glitch completely off the hook. And honestly, that's still the most reasonable position. The extreme ends of these arguments were never going to be satisfied, and the truth was always somewhere in the messy middle. What's actually happening here is that the free internet content model has an expiration date. It always does. At some point, the thing that was a passion project becomes a business with employees and rent and payroll. You can't pay animators with goodwill and YouTube comments alone. Glitch had been running for 8 years, releasing high-quality animation for free, building an audience the hard way. They're not trying to screw anyone over. They're just trying to prove that indie animation can be a real real business, and not just something that people do on the side until they burn out. And with a $35 million theatrical run, they made their case. With the theatrical release of The Amazing Digital Circus, the broader industry implications are already being discussed. The success of this experiment sets a precedent. A YouTube series just filled theaters globally and made blockbuster money without legacy studio backing. That changes the calculation for every indie creator who comes after them. It opens doors that previously didn't exist. Well, before Iron Lung. The finale is out now. People saw it. The internet moved on to the next thing, but the question this raised didn't go anywhere. Every free internet phenomenon eventually hits this exact same wall. The audience that built it eventually feels betrayed somehow. The creators feel they've earned the right to survive, and there's never a clean answer that makes everyone happy. Just a bunch of people trying to figure out what happens when something that has supposed to be free finally has to figure out how to pay for itself. Anyway, it was a fascinating moment to watch. It worked. It hurt some, and it's probably the shape of things to come. That's it, and subscribe.
Being gold and silver and green.